Welcome back to Sasquatch Hypothesis, the best damn Bigfoot show on the internet.
Big chested, and it just was big. I don't know how to describe it any better than that. It's just made me look like I was a kid if I'd have stood beside it.
It had long, messed up hair on its body. It was big. I would say, if I had to guess, I would say probably 7-8 feet tall.
Grandma's going, and all of a sudden the kids are yelling and screaming, Grandma, the monster's coming, the monster's coming. And she's like, what are you talking about? And this thing, apparently, it caught up with the truck and snagged one of the girls and ran back up towards the mountain. That little girl was never found at all. And what does this thing do to the little girl? Nobody doesn't know.
Sometimes irreverent and always abrasive, but we love him anyway. Right, ladies? Here's Reverend Rick.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the show. Tonight, I want to discuss there's a lot of debate on how, Bigfoot gets all over the country. How in the hell does it get around without anybody seeing him? And the skeptics like to talk about stuff like that. I'm going to go over what I have found to be the solution to how Bigfoot gets around with relatively unnoticed. It's very easy, believe it or not. And I was actually shocked to find out how easy it is. So let's go on to, I've created hello everybody, let me take a minute. Hello, I think that's Dominique, Eric, Mammal in the Woods. I guess that's Batmom. Hi Batmom, hello everybody. Okay, I know that everybody out there realizes that Bigfoot can follow, say, freeways and that, railroad tracks, waterways, and there's been some talk about how they've been spotted in like those clear cuts where power lines are and stuff like that. But I honestly didn't realize exactly how easy it would be for them to travel around. Let me get my map up here. Using power lines. Now, I always assumed that power lines went like from the power station to maybe the next city over, or a big factory, or something like that. Those big, strong ones, the high tension wires, which now a lot of them are underground. Now, if you look here at this map, those red lines on there, this is the New Orleans area. That's Lake Pontchartrain. And those red lines are actually clear-cut areas where power lines are running through. Now, I only made just a small little area here. And I was actually shocked. I wanted to see just how far it went because my wife has activity around her father's house. And it's kind of it's kind of suburban. There's woods there and stuff like that. But when you look at the satellite image around that house, there's basically houses everywhere. And I was like, how in the world did this Sasquatch get back here? Because you generally think that they're in large, like state parks, national parks, areas that are vast forested areas. And why would it be in this small little forested area that's surrounded by houses, residential areas and stuff like that? Why hasn't anyone seen it? Why hasn't it been in the news, etc.? So I started looking around, and I noticed that there was a lot of clear-cut areas for power lines. So here I drew out just a few lines. If you look here, they're lighting up as I mouse over them. These are just clear-cut areas for power lines. And I just did a few of them just to show just how extensive they are, that they crisscross They intersect. They have T's. I mean, all over the place, right? This is just a few of them. They're like everywhere. Once I started looking for them, I saw them everywhere. I mean, it's a spider's web of clear cuts for power lines. This one in particular right here. Well, it's not this one, but let's just take this one here. Right here. It actually terminates at Lake Pontchartrain, right? This one here I'm lighting up. Because of my MS, it's hard for me to hold the mouse still. There you go. That one there that's lit up right now. That one terminates right at the water, which I believe, obviously, it goes underneath the lake. It's an underground cable or underwater cable that runs across the lake and into some part of the New Orleans metro area, okay? I started following this one, and I kind of gave up after I'd followed it for 85 miles. All the way up here into Mississippi, outside of what is this? Okay, Red Bluff, etc. Right here. You see it lighting up as I mouse over it. Okay, I just stopped following it there. Now, if you see this light line, I don't know if you can see my mouse actually, but right at the top of this, where this terminates, you'll see a light colored line, which you kind of figure when you're first looking at it as a road. That's actually a power line clear cut that's running by there. And if you look right here where you see that 2 white dots basically in the middle, it's I guess it's County Road 10, and there's an X. Well, that X is actually where 2 of them intersect. Well, this clear cut, I followed it. It goes all the way to South Carolina. You can literally follow a clear cut for power lines from Miami Beach to Alaska, because they also go up into Canada. So all of these areas where you're hearing about Sasquatch sightings up in Canada, those Sasquatch have the ability to migrate all the way down to Miami Beach if they wanted to do that, relatively unnoticed, without hardly ever coming across anybody. Because if you look at these clear cut areas, for the most part, they go through wooded areas. They'll cross a road now and then. There actually is one that goes into Slidell, Louisiana, but it comes out of the Honey Island Swamp and goes into Slidell, Louisiana, right through town. Let me see. Let me zoom out and find it. Okay, right here. That blue, it's lighting up with a white dot right now. That is actually the Google pin for the center of the Honey Island Swamp. And everyone's heard of the Honey Island Swamp Monster. Okay. This red line right above it that's lighting up here, that's actually one of the clear-cut power lines. It runs right through the Honey Island Swamp. So, Bigfoot, Sasquatch living in the Honey Island Swamp have the ability to follow that clear cut. It goes basically right through their yard or through their house, you know, and they can just get on there and follow it all across the United States. Now, if they go west, it actually goes through right here. This is Slidell, Louisiana. So this is pretty well, you look at it and you're like, oh, they would never go through there. You know, and then you hear, how in the world does a Bigfoot end up in a city park, right? Because it looks like he'd have to go through neighborhoods and everything, right? Until you zoom in. For the most part, these clear cuts for the high power lines are surrounded by trees. All right, even when it goes past houses and stuff, like right here, let's zoom in here. Here's a neighborhood. It's got trees bordering the neighborhood. So basically a Bigfoot can walk along this power line clear cut, and it's walking right past your house and you don't realize it because there's trees behind your house that are bordering it. You know, I mean, there's a few spots, like here's a house right here. It might be a house. It might be some kind of yeah, I guess it. And there's a house here that don't have too many trees, but you would have to actually be looking out the window as it walks by to see it, right? And we've heard of that. People saying, oh, I saw one walking. You know, but for the most part, they're undercover the whole way. I mean, look at here. This is all trees bordering this clear cut in most of the areas. There's a few, obviously, but So a Bigfoot could walk along here, go right into the center of Slidell, center of town, relatively unnoticed, and go into, here's Slidell Rocks. Well, I guess that I'm looking for a park. I think there's a park. Actually, my line's off a little bit here. It should be to the left. That's where the clear cut is, actually. It actually follows 190 here and then starts. I need to put another dot in there, but it's close enough. Yeah, so look at all of those trees. There's a park somewhere in Slidell. I just don't know where it is. But he could follow that in there and get to the park. You know, that's how Bigfoot ends up in parks. That's how Bigfoot ends up in your backyard. Because they can travel along these clear cuts and get all over the country. They can travel anywhere, literally anywhere in the country by following these things. And then they come across a river if they want it, and then they follow a river along. I mean, between the railroad tracks, the rivers, and these clear cuts, they can travel anywhere they want to. Because for the most part, I mean, there's a river or a creek or some kind of a stream or a gully or whatever in most of the places I've ever lived. You know, not literally between every house, but they have ways of getting in and out of pretty much everywhere in the United States. So I found that very interesting, that I had no idea that these power line clear cuts were connected. They're all connected to each other, all the way from Florida to Canada. I mean, the top of Canada, as far up in Canada as they go. It's one big electrical grid, which Bigfoot can travel along those clear cuts and get anywhere they want to. You know, I'm sure it goes into Alaska and everything. So the skeptics saying, well, Bigfoot can't go. Why would a Bigfoot be in your neighborhood? Well, he was just walking around. You know, he said, oh, let me go this way. And I'm sure they go there. You know, if they travel into a town, a neighborhood, right? They run into people, you know, a lot of houses. They probably just don't come back, but while they're there, they check it out. It's just like when people go wandering around, you know. We end up somewhere. We might not ever want to go back there, but we check it out while they're there, while we're there, you know. So look at it. I mean, here, hold on just a second. Now, one of the things about these clear cuts is when you zoom in on them, this is zoomed in on one. Now, if you look down those trees, you could walk from here all the way to Lake Pontchartrain, and this is about 60 miles away. And look at how manicured this is. Perfectly manicured. I mean, you could get on a golf cart and drive all the way across the country on these things. I'm sure some of them aren't as well kept as others, you know, but for the most part, everyone I've looked at and zoomed in on, they look like this. They're very well kept. And then if you see here, one other thing, these here, the power lines are underground. And they have these blue poles that are some kind of probably, you know, to vent air pressure or whatever from the underground lines. This is one thing that seems to be in common where they're underground. And I'm pretty sure they're just vents for air pressure. But, and this guy here, this fence I'm sure is not legal because this is government property. This is a right-of-way. And this guy here in this trailer here, you see how he's got this fence going around his property. He probably put this fence here, and it looks like it's kind of makeshift because that pole's sticking up and it's a little wonky right there. Probably because people were coming and driving in here and he didn't want them coming around behind his property. So he said, I'm going to put this fence up. I'm guessing. I mean, maybe. I don't think it's his property because his trailer would be there, I'm sure. I think he just blocked it off, keep people from getting in there. But anyway, yeah, this is pretty much in common what they look like. This is everywhere from Florida all the way to Alaska. They look like this. And they go, for the most part, between trees just like this. This is pretty much what they all look like, how they're manicured. And, I mean, anybody, you could walk down that. You could take a golf cart down that, for crying out loud. So that is how Bigfoot travels from Ohio to Louisiana to, I mean, everywhere. What the heck else? What else do I have here? Just a second, folks. Shoot, I think. Did I just show you that picture of mine in full screen? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right, and the other thing I wanted to cover is when you're out looking in the woods for signs of Bigfoot. The big giveaway. I mean, when I see videos where somebody's talking about, well, we've had Bigfoot coming through here, and they're looking at the branches, the little saplings that are bent or broken or whatever, and they're walking through here. These guys are what, 5'10", maybe 6 feet, and they're walking. Now I'm 6'4". I know when I'm walking through the woods, if a branch is in front of my face, I'm gonna break it or push it aside or whatever. You have these guys talking about how Bigfoot's coming through and broke a sapling. Well, that's a sign that Bigfoot's been here. No, not when you're walking through there and ducking under branches. Do you really think that an 8-9 foot tall Bigfoot is going to walk through where you just did and had to bend over to get under a branch without breaking that branch off? When you're talking about Bigfoot being in an area, you need to look at the 6 to 9 foot level and see if the branches have been broken off. If they're broken off down here on the ground level, more than likely that's a deer, a person, something like that. The big telltale sign is when you have branches that are 6 to 9 feet up that are broken. Because a Bigfoot's coming, we know that they break branches, right? It's not like they're trying to hide the fact that they were there, because they break branches all over the place. So if you're in an area where you think that there's a Bigfoot activity, and you can walk around and not a single branch from the 6 foot level and up is broken, more than likely there is no Bigfoot there. You should find. Now I could assume or believe that they don't always break the branches. They might bend, they might, go around or just move them aside and they flop back and that kind of thing. But if there's a Bigfoot in that area, you start looking around, you're going to start finding where the branches have been broken off at 6 to 9 feet. I just don't think that they're going to walk through there and constantly be hit in the face with branches. They're going to break them off. So, I mean, I've watched videos where guys are talking about that, and not a single branch, I'm talking from 4 feet and up, has been broken. And they might be real thin, easily broken, where a person could just break them off. I just don't believe that a Bigfoot's been there. And then I've seen other videos, and I'm talking random videos, like I watch a lot of videos about full-time RVing because I plan to go on the road and go around to Bigfoot hot spots. And I'm going to get a motorhome in that. So I watch a lot of those videos, and I see some of these videos, and they're out in the woods, and they're talking about how beautiful it is and all that. And I'll see where it's obvious that, a pine tree or whatever, all of the branches have been broken off all the way up to 10 feet high. And it's almost like you can see, kind of like that clear-cut corridor for the high power lines, where the branches themselves have been cut, and you can see in like a path walking through the forest. That is obvious Bigfoot activity. There's nothing else that's going to break branches off at the 9 foot level, 8 foot level, except for a Bigfoot. And to be on trees consecutively in a row like that. It's obvious Bigfoot activity. So when I'm driving along the road, going through some really what people call squatchy areas, that's what I do. I mean, you can very easily see if you start seeing branches broke off at the 8 foot level as you're driving down the road. And then in my area here, I've found a couple of areas. And one of them is back here where last year anyway, I haven't heard it at all this year, but last year every night I heard a Bigfoot screaming across the road. And I found a place where it was walking through. It was coming from a creek bed and walking across the road. And there's another area down the road a bit where there's a lot of tree breaks, and they're all at like 7-8 foot and that kind of thing. So let me go to the chat here and see if anyone's got any questions. Hey, North Country Bigfoot. Cryptid. Candy Apple, hello. Just saying hi to everybody. Is everybody still here? I'm not seeing much activity here. Carrie Morgan. Hi, Carrie. Oh, well, thank you. You hit me up with $1.99. I appreciate that. If you're still in here. Les Bedford, hello. I said hi to the Bat Mom. James Jefferson, Rhonda Taylor. Oh, who else? Who else? That's in Tallahassee. Oh, Tallahassee. You're talking about the image of the pipe sticking up out of the ground. Yeah, Mysterious Journals by Dee Dee. Dee Dee is my wife, in case y'all don't realize that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hello, honey. Yeah. Okay, anybody have any questions? Anything you want me to point out or go over again? I appreciate y'all coming in here. What about you, honey? Anything else I missed? Yeah, they follow. Right, exactly. Following the power lines, yeah. Do I ever get physical evidence? Well, I'm a cripple, so the past 2 years, I can't get out there and do it yet. I'm actually going to be doing that at some point because I'm getting my strength back and all of that. But right now, up till now, no, I have no physical evidence. But I put it to y'all. I think a really easy way and fast way of maybe getting some video or still images of Bigfoot is if you have some of these areas, some of these clear-cut power line areas around your house, close by, that say go from, a state park to a water source or something like that, go out there and put trail cams, and I'll bet you'll catch Bigfoot walking through there. Do I hear about Bigfoot in the Huntsville area? Well, I don't know when it was, 2 months ago. I'm pretty sure, I can't swear to it because it's peripheral, that I saw the Alabama white thing in a field. And I was going to make a video today to put it up, but my camera battery was dead. I'm waiting for it to charge. I was going to do a video where I saw it. It was about maybe 2 miles up the road from my house. I was coming back because I drive Uber and Lyft at night, take the drunks home. And I was coming back and I was zipping by and I saw something white that was like 9 feet tall, right? I was assuming it was a piece of farm equipment in that, because it was white, it was light colored. It wasn't pure white. It was more of like a gray color, like a light gray color. And as I come up to it, all of a sudden I saw out of the corner of my eye, I saw it bend over and start leaping through the field like a deer. And I was like, holy smokes. And I tried to turn to look, but I was doing like 40 up the road. And I was like, there's no way, because I know that was at least 9. It was like 8, 9 feet tall. It wasn't a deer, and it was standing up. And then as I got up to it, it bent over, and it started running and all leaping like a deer on all fours. Yeah, I said they were underground, honey. Yeah. That's when I showed the poles sticking up. And also, I was driving somebody around the other day, said they thought that they saw a Bigfoot, but they didn't go into too many details. They were a little nervous about that. Hi, Brett. I assume you're in. Yeah, there he is. Hey, Brett. How's it going? Yeah, I'm going to do a video. Like I said, I was going to do it today, of where I saw or think I saw the Alabama white thing. It's a white, light-colored Bigfoot. I mean, the Alabama white thing has been a legend around here for a long time. It could be a whole different Bigfoot, but the point is, I'm fairly certain it was a Bigfoot because I know it was at least 8 feet tall, at least. I'm thinking more like 9 or taller. I mean, it was big because I actually thought it was just some kind of I don't know, farm equipment that was standing up out there, maybe a water thing, what do they call it? Like a water reservoir or something, because like right across here they have a pavilion that has a bunch of equipment in it, and that's for the I'm assuming for the sprinkler system when they're watering the cotton out here. And so when I saw it out of the corner of my eye, I just assumed that's what it was, some kind of piece of farm equipment, until it bent over and I saw it leap twice before I passed it. Yes, rivers, creeks, creek beds, anything where they're undercover. But I'll tell you what, these power line clear cuts are far more numerous. I would put money on it that this is their primary main means of travel all over the country. They are using rivers, streams, creeks, things like that, railroad tracks, when they get where they're going. It's kind of like when we use an interstate highway to go from, say, Louisiana to Georgia. And then when you get there, you use a state road or a county road or a town road to get down to the actual house that you're after. It's like you go from one main thoroughfare to another intermediate thoroughfare to a smaller road. I think that's exactly what they do. They use the power lines to get, when they're migrating long distances, and then as soon as they're in the area they want to be in, they go to a river or a creek or a railroad track or something like that. Amy. Hey, Amy. I don't know much about my take on the underground caves. I think a Bigfoot will go just like a human being. I think that their intelligence is way above any other animal on the planet except for us. And I think that just like us, they're going to take shelter wherever shelter can be found. They're going to go into caves. They're going to go into old abandoned barns. They're going to go into old abandoned houses. Anything that gives them shelter. I mean, I understand they're covered with hair and they're able to survive the elements and all of that stuff, but they're still going to seek shelter. Every animal will seek shelter. Deer seek shelter. Deer will huddle up together underneath, in stands of trees and when the weather gets really bad. Every animal does that. So a Bigfoot is going to seek shelter wherever it can find it. Caves, absolutely. Asher, yes, I've heard that too. I forget what that story was. It was about there was actually one that had dove under the water, and I don't know if it was an old alligator den or a beaver den or something, but a Bigfoot was actually living in like a cave in the side of a bank that had been dug out. It wasn't a natural cave, I guess. And it went up, and there was like an entire inside to this thing. I've heard of that too. I don't have any personal knowledge of it, but I heard of it, and I don't see why. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's possible because humans can do that too, but I don't know why a Bigfoot would think to do that, I guess. I'm not saying they couldn't. I just don't know why that would occur to them. Like if it's an alligator den, yeah. Or even a beaver den, sure. They might just be in there looking for beaver and say, or an alligator, and say, wow, this ain't too bad. I think I'll stay here. Yeah. Carrie or Kari. Yeah, I'll get that soon. I don't know. I might need a new battery for my. It's been plugged in for a couple of hours and it's still red. Hi, Candy Apple. Yowie Quest. I think I need to put my glasses on. think my contacts. I need to get new contacts. These are, I've had them on too long. It's getting blurry. Yeah, it's interesting. These are no good for computer screen. Those are my wife's glasses that she left here when she was here last. So. Something, Papa. You think that the only reason they come out of the woods is looking for food? No, I think they come out of the woods looking for fun too. I think, they get bored. And they got humans. Let's go look at the humans, I think that they do that because they're at the intelligence level, What do I think Bigfoot does with the injured and elderly and dead? I don't know. I'm on the fence about that. On the one hand, I know Bigfoot eat people. So I'm thinking, I kind of think they probably eat each other when they die. On the other hand, they may have some kind of ritualistic nature like we do as far as burying and that. It's going to be one of those two things. It's either that they eat each other when they die or get sick, they cannibalize each other, or they bury their dead. I think it's only one of those two things. I don't think there's any other answer. Hey, Lane. Long time no see there, buddy. Mammal and I've heard of them running down the streets in neighborhoods. Yeah, and the way they get there, like I said, is they're following these power lines, and some of them go right into town. That is such an easy way for them to go unnoticed, right into the middle of town. I mean, I showed you where that thing can go all the way into the middle of Slidell, which is like a fairly large city, without being seen. Maybe by a couple of people if they happen to be looking out their window at the clear-cut area that's probably 50 yards away anyway. They might see him then. Counting coup? Yeah, I think that they mess with us. But most of the stories I've heard, like there was a story, I think it was in LBL, but I'm not, don't quote me, where this guy and his girlfriend were driving and they thought somebody needed help because they saw the Bigfoot running. And so they slowed down, and then they realized it was a Bigfoot, and he sped up again, and the thing reached in and grabbed his girlfriend, right? I think it was on Bigfoot Outlaws, I heard that. And he talked about him counting coup. He was just fooling with the... I don't think so. And then I've also heard that they were just trying to make him go away. Well, if they were trying to make him go away, first of all, he already succeeded. The guy gunned it and was trying to head up the road, so there was no reason for it to run up and reach in the window. I don't believe it was counting coup. I think it was literally trying to grab that girl and pull her out of the truck. And then it just happened that he didn't get a hold of her in time, and, they got away. I do believe that they mess with us, but on most of the stories I heard that are explained away as counting coup, I don't think they are. I think they're actually trying to get somebody. I think they mess with us in other ways, like just trying to scare you, standing in the woods, or slapping the house, that kind of stuff. Yeah, mammal in the woods. I mean, I was shocked to find out. I really did assume that they went from like the like where the power place was, the power plant, whatever, or the substation, like to some big factory or something that needed a lot of power, a lot of juice, so they'd send it out there. Or if they were feeding a nearby town. I didn't realize that they're continuous. They run all over the country. They're connected. You can literally walk from Miami Beach to Alaska in these clear cuts all the way. I mean, if they go through a town, you might have to cross a road, but they are continuous. Even when they go through towns, they're continuous. Bots in my chat. Well, I don't have any bots, so. Yeah, Jay, you're gone, buddy. Andrew, just south of you and working in Cessnock. I don't know what that is. North Country Bigfoot. All right, see ya. Yeah, Asher, as far as the counting kill, I hope I answered your question. That's just my opinion. I think the majority of the time when they grab somebody, they mean business. I don't think they're fooling around. I think they mess around in other ways, like moving stuff around and, you know, that kind of thing. When they touch you, I think that they're serious. They're either trying to help you or hurt you. Because I do believe that they have helped people. All right, Mammal in the Woods, yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, it depends on the area, because there's some places where, I mean, clear cuts are everywhere. It doesn't mean that just because you go to a clear cut, you're going to find footprints or whatever. You really need... Sorry. Sorry, folks. My dog's doing something. Yeah, you need to be like near a national park or a state park or something where it's likely you're going to find Bigfoot activity. And then look at the clear cuts that are around that area. Yeah. If you're just randomly looking at a clear cut, you know, look for one that's likely to be a travel corridor. Missing 411, I think it's Bigfoot eating people. All right, Pop, I'm trying to figure, you said, I did these Bigfoot creatures come to be. Oh, how? The same way we did. They just are. Same way dogs did, same way we did. They're just there. They evolved. All right, you talking about missing 411, Justin, I'm assuming? Because I don't know what the government has to do with that. I mean, if you're talking about the people missing, Bigfoot eat them. Most of them. Killed them. Tried to take them home for pets and they died of exposure, or they ate them. Something like that happened. And I think it's both of those things. I think that, I honest to God, think Bigfoot have taken people, probably kids mainly, back home to the wife, said, look at this. It's like bringing a puppy home as a pet. And we just, a little kid can't survive out there and dies of exposure, and the Bigfoot brings it back. That's what I think part of it is. The other part is they're just eating people. I don't know what the government cover-up has to do with missing 411. I've not read it. I've heard him talking on various interviews and, that kind of thing. I mean, it's out there. The stories in that. Is he talking that there's a cover-up, or is somebody saying that there's a cover-up? I don't know. I know about the thing about the FBI being involved when the one kid that was slung over the Bigfoot's shoulder was walking off, that kind of thing. But As far as him discussing the conspiracy or cover-up, I've not heard of that yet. I think North Country. I think that I don't think that they all capitalize on the disabled. I think it depends on the scenario. I think if they're well fed, in an area with a lot of deer, I think they may or may not. I don't think it's like one of those things like, all right, he's hobbled, get him, guys. I don't think it's like that. I think it's, if he drops dead, we're hungry, man, let's eat him. I think it's that kind of thing. I don't think it's quite like chimpanzees, the way that you're talking about, where they just frantically attack and rip the disabled one apart. I think that there's more thought into it, whether they want to or not. I don't know how to explain that, but that's. Christian, I lean towards it being another Homo species. I really do. All right, Andrew, Yowie Quest. Not seeing where you're going with that. Missing 411 is more than just Bigfoot victims. I don't understand what you mean by that. You mean cougars too? But then, yeah, okay, I can see that. But, people have gone missing. What else would it be other than them being predated on or just got stupid and got lost and died out there? That kind of thing. If you're trying to go down some kind of conspiracy theory thing, I don't believe that at all. I mean, I don't even see how it would be. They've recovered missing people's feet still in their boots. I've not heard that. Don't understand. I'd have to look into that to see what that's all about. Christian. I believe in missing is not all Bigfoot, but other paranormal activity and cryptid creatures. What do you mean by paranormal activity? Talking about ghosts killing people? I mean, I personally don't think, if you're talking about UFOs, I don't think of UFOs as paranormal. That's just science. It's aliens, Atmospheric beings. I don't know what that would be. Papa, no, I don't take anyone on trail hikes. I know there's a few out there that do. But it's not me. I've never seen a UFO. I saw a light moving rapidly through the sky when I was younger that I thought was a UFO, but since I was military intelligence and knew how to spot spy satellites, and you can see them at night, I know it was just a satellite flying overhead. Yeah, I believe, Justin, I believe that they're like people. You don't want to go in a bad neighborhood because the odds are pretty likely you're going to run into trouble. So it's just like people. There's bad Bigfoot and there's good Bigfoot. That's what I believe. Tia. Is it Thea or Tia? All right, good night. Yeah, Asher, that's I've never heard that, and that's kind of baffling. All right. All right, folks. Any more questions? Look, you can join me. Let me just pull up my. Yeah, there. All right, there. You can go to my Discord and go into Campfire if y'all want to actually talk or even chat. There's a voice and a text version about Bigfoot. And sometimes I'm in there. Most times I'm not because I don't want to interfere with the communications. But sometimes I do pop in there and talk with people. So, let me think here. Okay, everybody. So, until next time, y'all take it easy.